The Share the Road Cycling Coalition was founded in 2007. It had a tragic beginning, sadly. My late husband was an OPP officer and he was killed by a careless driver in 2006, not far from our home in Burlington. He was out for a training ride on his bike. We were getting ready to do a triathlon and we said goodbye and I never saw him again. And that tragedy led to a real galvanizing moment for me and my family, but also for people that I knew, because what I had the good fortune to do was to decide to take all of that sadness and grief and channel it into making a difference, and I'm grateful for that. So the first thing I did was to pass along his memory, because the man that killed him had such a driving record that was so significant. Having had some politics in my background, fortunately I worked for the Prime Minister of Canada early in my career. I was able to take that knowledge and use my skills to mobilize cyclists across the province and start the Share the Road Cycling Coalition. We launched it in 2008 officially. And so we started organizing, and we held the first Ontario Bike Summit in 2009. And we used it as a platform to bring people together. For the first time, we got an Ontario Transport Minister, Jim Bradley, who later became my colleague in cabinet, came. And we used the opportunity to talk to people about, if there was a cycling strategy in Ontario, what could that look like? When it came time to look at 15 years of progress, we chose Waterloo again, because we thought, what better place to go back to think about all the progress that was initiated from that very first bike summit, and what have we accomplished collectively.
I think, what I've learned is, by and large, the activism that they have is positive activism. They like to talk about joy and happiness and movement. Yes, safety is important, and these things, have been talked about today. But the conversations that I've had are more about, building cities for people and making sure that there's equity in how we design a city, and it's not just vehicular-based equity. I drove my car here. There's little element of I don't know, I guess an irony of me driving my car here and talking about cycling infrastructure. But that's the type of stuff that Diana and I are going to broach and try to just say, can we build more joyful cities, and is cycling a critical ingredient to a more joyful city? The big thing when we do development is try to think about how people live, right? It's not the beauty of the building or the beauty of the architecture. It's functionally like you're building a place where someone wants to live. And so as we think about where they store their bike, or how do we connect with cycle infrastructure, or what's the public realm around the building. And so these are types of things that we do. We also do a lot of active transportation analysis, so it's not just about how you get cars to park under your building and get out in the morning. It's also about how pedestrians move and how cyclists move, and how that connectivity to trails and cycling infrastructure makes for a better city. The Fireside Talk is trying to move past just the Share the Road cycling infrastructure and actually talk about why cycling is, I like to say, a bit of the canary in the coal mine. If your city is happy and healthy, you generally have good cycling infrastructure. And if your city is unhappy and unhealthy, you generally don't. And so cycling to me is a great barometer of how much joy are we bringing into community. And I see investments in cycling infrastructure as investments in place. And so to me, it's really critical that we have these conversations, because the places that have done it are some of the happiest places in the world.